We live.
So
We're
we are
live.
live.
We're live. Apparently we're on YouTube.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is exciting. Yes. Hello.
This is your
This is
first.
my first live ever. So
It's
this is
already your first live
exciting.
ever.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because
Wow.
I didn't get to do any other ones yet with other people. So this is very cool. I've been wanting to do a live. So.
I'm popping your live cherry. I
Exactly.
feel
Yeah.
honored. I feel so honored. I hope some people show up
Me too.
and say hello because it's been unplanned. So I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't
Um,
prepare
we didn't plug
people.
it.
I just quickly threw something on my story to promote it,
Oh,
and quickly told people in this little group chat that I have with a couple of other cluster bees, and just been like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to Dr. Ruth. So hopefully maybe one of them will show up or something.
there is one person here, but they haven't said hello. So we have one viewer.
Is there?
So whoever
Who
you
are
are,
you?
say hello.
Who are you? I want to know.
It doesn't say. It doesn't tell me who's watching until they comment.
Oh, okay. So they can tell us.
They can tell
Don't be
us if they
shy.
choose to. Well, on TikTok, I haven't never done a live on TikTok or Instagram, but you can see who's there.
I've seen
But
people
on
do lives
YouTube,
on TikTok. Yeah.
doesn't tell you who's there.
Yeah.
But
Actually, I wonder if I were to open up YouTube, would I be able to see the comments on there?
you should. They'll come up. There's like a streaming thing. I can put them up on screen when they arrive.
All right, yeah. So we'll just do it that way.
So I should be able to do that.
Okay.
I think I can even do a comment myself. And then when I click on it,
Oh, look at
I
that!
can.
Look at that.
Oh yeah, that's quite cool. What should we talk about? I want to know,
Yeah, let's
April.
just start talking, and then
Tell
people
me
come
about what
and
it is
watch, and
like
they watch.
to be like a new YouTube celebrity.
Yeah.
'Cause you get your
It
100
feels pretty good.
subscribers. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's official at that point, right? When you have 100.
totally.
So yeah, no, it does feel good because and it's kind of interesting too because I have my music that I do too, and I was trying to build that for I was building that. I was working on that for a year, and I have some fans with that, but this is just gone much better. People are much more interested in this, so it's
Mhm.
it's not I'm gonna stop making music or anything, but it definitely shows that this is maybe my calling or something, like
I think
making these
people are
videos.
interested in it. I think people are
Yeah.
always interested in other people's experiences.
Yeah, definitely. And that I think the reason people come to me is just because because not only am I being personal and sharing my experiences with people, but then also I also have the background from having studied psychology in school, so I think it does help with that. And then I just try to make them. I've been trying to just make my videos also just really fun to watch lately too. Just add more of my humor in them and stuff.
I love the latest one.
Yeah.
Was the
Thank you.
grapes. Was the grapes. I watched it between. I was in clinic today, and I watched it between clients.
Yeah.
And I was giggling away. I had to kind of try to make myself serious.
The thing
It
with the
was the grapes
therapist.
Mercutio. I
What's
want the
that?
first best, not the second best.
I want the
The first
best. I want the best grapes, not the second best
so
grapes.
funny.
Mercutio. Yeah,
Yeah. There
yeah.
are
So I
now
tried.
2 people watching, so whoever is watching, say hello.
Hello, randos.
Don't don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Say hi to us. We're your friends. um. Yeah. So it's definitely cool, seeing it start to become more of a thing, and the fact that I got more interviews has been really fun, and I feel I'm getting more comfortable doing them each time I do them, which is nice. you know I got like a couple of podcasts I did, and then this is like my first live, but like I've done a couple of other videos and stuff.
Yeah. Lives are fun, but I didn't really I didn't plug this one,
Uh-huh.
so I don't know how many people will come. It will just be whoever happens to see that we're live and decides to join. So it might
Yeah,
be a really quiet one.
that's all
Um,
right. There'll
and if
be
it is, we can plug it and do another one.
yeah, that's true. We can always like this one was definitely like planned on the spot, so but we can
Mm,
plan one out more in
yeah.
advance another time, and
Yeah,
then
we
maybe
can
like
figure
that'll
out the
help.
tech better this time because it took us about half an hour to get sorted out.
Yeah. So we'll maybe it's a good thing this is the one that not everyone's watching since we
This is the practice. No, it's the one where we embrace our imperfection.
that's that's beautiful.
And we don't be spectacular. Mm,
Yes, we need to embrace that it's okay to not be perfect and make and not have everything figured out and everything.
yeah. Hello, we do have someone.
Someone chatted.
Yes. Hello,
Hello,
Ray.
Ray Justice.
Hello, beautiful person
Yeah,
in the chat.
hi. How are you, Ray Justice? Beautiful person. How are you? um,
I don't think I've ever seen you before, Ray. Like normally I recognize people who make comments regularly. I kind of know who they are, but
me
I don't
too.
think I've ever seen you.
This is a
So
newbie, but
welcome.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have like some regulars that like will like a lot of my posts or like comment on a lot of my posts or my videos, and I'll be like, oh, it's that person again. Hey,
Mhm.
I'm doing good. How are you, Ray? It's a good day. It's been nice out. I just came from a walk. That's why I'm like chilling in the car right now. I
Yeah.
just got back. I love going on my walks this time of year.
And
Nameless
Ray has
stream.
been Jacobs, I'm imagining. Nameless narcissist.
Oh, I think Ray might have been. I was talking to somebody on. I was watching one of Jacob's streams, and I was talking with somebody during the stream, and that might be you.
Ah, you
Ah,
were with Rich. I,
okay.
I love,
So when you
I
did a
did a
stream with
couple.
Rich, like Ruth.
I don't think I've ever done a live with Rich. I've done a couple of like interviews um, with Rich. I've never gone live with him.
Huh.
Ray's saying it was on Instagram, but he we had a
That's
really
early morning
interesting
barking, right?
conversation about
That's
love
Rich.
bombing.
Oh, okay.
Which is early morning barking.
Got you. I've seen his channel before. Um, yeah, definitely want to check out
Yeah,
more of his videos. He's
we
cool.
we're not prudes, Rich and I. We have lots of conversations about sex. It always seems to end up being about sex.
That's funny.
We talked a bit about I can't remember now. Like Han, we talked a bit about sexual dysfunction and the whole concept of sex addiction. And we
Okay.
also talked about the
And you said you
concept of
talked
love.
about love bombing. That might be a good place to start because yeah, I think we did want to talk about a little bit about like narcissistic abuse, that term, quote unquote, on this
Oh god.
stream, right?
We can
Um
talk about it. Ray, if there's something you want us to talk about, let us know.
yeah, feel free ask
I mean,
questions.
do
Porn
you want us to
addiction.
talk about porn addiction, or is that just what you want? You watched Rich and I
You
talk
just
about?
want to hear us or you just want to hear us talk about it. um
Tell us what
porn,
you want us to talk about, Ray, and we'll talk about it. Because you know what? Like, there's only two people watching us, and you're the only one commenting, which means,
right.
you're the audience of one right now. You have all our attention.
Isn't that special? All
Mm.
eyes on you, right?
It's like a narcissist fantasy, isn't it? To be like the
Oh, it
one you
is.
are.
It is. I'd like to be in your shoes there, Ray. I'd like to be where you are. getting all the attention. I'm a narcissist, and I was just wondering how I'm gonna do going forward since I lost my therapy/insurance. Um, I guess that how long have you been in therapy? I guess it depends on like how you feel about where you're at, and if you got a lot of tools from therapy that you feel are helping you, or if you feel like you still need more help and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That might be like the
It's
first thing to think about. It does suck.
it sucks if you lose your therapy rather than you choose to end it, I think.
Absolutely, because yeah, usually usually if you lose your therapist, you probably aren't really ready to be done.
Mm. Yeah.
um, and therapy
Yeah.
is can be really expensive without insurance. It's awful.
It is so expensive, and it's, I don't judge the therapist for that because I am one, but it's tough. That it's just so hard to get good therapy covered for a long time.
Yep. And
Mm.
anything can happen. I mean, like you can lose your job and then you lose your insurance through that, and then
Mhm.
you're just like screwed because a lot of therapists, they don't take Medicaid or anything. So like you lose your job and you lose your therapy too. Like I feel like that's just like the worst situation.
Yeah, it really sucks. It's horrible,
Mm-hmm.
horrible situation to be in. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess Ray saying he was in therapy for a year exactly. That's a good amount of time in therapy, you
Yeah,
know,
for
and,
sure.
I know when I've had people who've had to stop seeing me because of financial reasons or things like that. It sucks with me too as a therapist. Like, I genuinely miss
You
people.
don't and you don't want to see them have to go
Yeah,
to and stuff.
you know? Like, I
I
miss people when they end because they wanted to end and it's ready to end, but also it's
yeah,
nice when someone's come to an end that they're ready for and it's like a proper goodbye. It's horrible when it's like, we have no choice other than to end.
right. You're just
It's not what you
let
would
go.
choose. It's
Um,
sad.
that is sad. For me right now, I don't have a therapist because I'm on a wait list for a therapist right now. So for me, like the biggest thing is just using like the groups kind of as my therapy. Like I talk a lot on the Reddit, the NPD sub on Reddit, and I talk a lot on there's like a Discord server that Nameless Narcissist has, and I just like have like a bunch of friends
Mm.
in the community. I think that's like the biggest thing, like that's keeping me going afloat right now. So I don't know if that helps you. That might help you um, while you're in between therapists, kind of.
There's some good stuff going on Jacob's Discord and on the, NPD Reddit.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's good because like you can get, you know, you can ask a question on one of those places like right in the moment as it's
Mm,
bothering you, and get that support from a bunch of people that have similar experiences like right away. So that's,
yeah,
I guess, maybe the main thing I would suggest.
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
And that's amazing that you don't have the rage outburst, like, that's massive.
My rage seems to be gone, almost gone, totally haven't.
Oh,
That's great. Yeah, that's great. What I'm kind of curious for you, like what's been helping you to manage the rage?
yeah, I'd like to know too.
Yeah.
It's so big, and everyone is a work in progress. I think this is sort of sometimes people with NPD especially, it's like this, the fantasies of ideal things, it's like the fantasy of ideal healing. It's not really a thing. We're all constantly works in progress.
Yeah, in my experience, like something that me and you were talking about the other night, Ruth, I think is like really has really been true for me. It's that different therapists kind of get you to different points. Like I've had
Mhm.
a ton of therapists at this point, ton of different therapists, and like they've all helped me with different areas of my life. Like whether it's different symptoms of NPD, they've like helped me, like certain ones are better at helping me manage specific symptoms, or like
Mm.
other issues, like when I was like dealing with like addiction stuff. So like I, I think like sometimes it even is like kind of good to have other therapists that can help you out in other ways, kind of. So
Yeah, for sure. For
yeah.
sure. Yeah. You can definitely, I think, different therapists, just because they're different people, they have different skills, but also they have different personalities, and I do think that's relevant.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, I
and
would say it's relevant.
and they
Um,
just bring different things out in you.
yep, yep.
So I'm
Mm.
guessing that's for you.
Oh, thank you, Tiverton. Thanks. Yeah. It's really, I mean, that's been its own therapy too, is just just letting out all the things that I've been through, and just like being very like vulnerable on camera, and just sharing my story in my videos. I mean, it's made me feel more like, if it made me feel like I was able to like get it out of me, which helped me to heal, because then I'm not just like holding on to it and
Mm.
holding it, keeping it to myself so much anymore, and just like getting the positive feedback from everybody on that was really nice and really healing also.
Mm.
Ray has another comment here.
That's so beautiful, Ray. It sounds like you had such a good therapy. You know, for someone with MPD to actually have some compassion for themselves, I mean, that's huge. It's so huge.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm so pleased for you, Ray, and it doesn't stop because therapy stopped. I'm sure you know that, but
yeah, and it sounds like you really are like kind of like on the path to like healing. I mean, like you're sounds like you have worked through some things, even if it was only for a year of therapy. It does sound like you got a lot out of it. So I guess one thing is just to remind yourself and like just be grateful for the progress that you have made, and remind yourself that you have come a long way, because I mean, it really does seem like you have. So yeah, be proud of that. You know.
yeah. So
Yeah,
now
that's
you can watch NPD April too.
you sure can. I would love it. um, yeah, watching other people's videos is great. I mean, that's really like that's how I got into this community. For me, it was Jacob and Tessa, and again, like I think when you watch YouTube videos by people, you see yourself in the things they're saying, and like it helps you feel not so alone. You also end up like seeing in
Mm.
their videos like the ways they've been able to heal, and I feel like it also just like makes you more self-aware too. So it's definitely
Mm.
good. Those videos, they're super helpful.
Yeah. And you're so welcome, Ray. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
It's actually really nice to talk to someone. And it's lovely to talk to someone who's kind of made some progress in healing and kind of doing better. And dedicate yourself to love yourself for an hour a day. Don't just study NPD. Love
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I think it's important to like, this is my one of my like big things, is it's important to work on this stuff, but also important to like take care of yourself and have self-care, and like
Yeah.
you can't just like constantly like spend your entire day.
Yeah, you gotta live. You
You
gotta
gotta live, exactly. You gotta enjoy the moments. I mean, that's like super important. Like you have to have time to just like I just went for a walk just now, so like that was like my self-care. um or like making music is nice self-care for me. I try to like get myself out of I just want to make sure that like I'm not totally focusing on just that, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I have so there's other comments here.
Oh, okay. Let's hear him. Let's hear him.
The first person was early morning barking, and he helped me through my dark times, not being alone. I was hating myself and had to realize I'm a human, not a monster. I'm gonna tell him that. I'm gonna message him that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
screenshot and send it to him because
Oh,
he will be so touched by that. I know that.
aw.
And there is a comment for you, April,
Okay.
about your plate.
Aw. I'm really happy that that like touched a lot of people. I really am. Like I legitimately like realize like I think that it kind of was a okay. It was a good example. It showed people like the way that like you can like reparent your inner child, and I think that's really um important to like have examples like that, because I think that helps other people to like realize ways they can heal too. And honestly, like it I feel so much better after doing that, for sure.
Yeah.
And giving myself that gift.
Yeah, of course. And I will definitely tell him, Ray. You know what? I'm gonna take a photo of that comment and I'm even gonna send it to him now on WhatsApp because I've got his WhatsApp. Private line to Rich.
Right.
So if you don't mind, I am gonna screenshot. There we go.
I'm sure that will make his day.
I'm literally gonna send it right now.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll join.
That'd be awesome. I'd be glad to meet him, you know? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I yeah, I definitely want to like start to like do some lives with some of these other NPD YouTubers, like get to know them all more. That's definitely one of my big goals for the year. Get to know those other people more. Um,
He will love that. I've sent it to him right now.
yeah,
And
that's awesome.
he always sends messages late at night. So I suspect he's awake. And
I,
hopefully I haven't just woken him up.
I think it's really great when you have people like that, because that is like being diagnosed with NPD. I mean, that is like your first reaction is like you feel like you're a monster, like the way that like people talk about NPD online on the internet and everything. Like to
Mm,
get that diagnosis, it like it hurts. It like it caused like a major depression for me personally.
mm.
So, I could totally like understand that. You know, like
You know what I tell people when I mean, in therapy, it's not really necessary to give diagnosis in that way. You know,
Mhm.
I'm more interested in these are the ways that you cope in the world. These are the defenses that you use, the coping modes, the things that cause you problems. But if someone asks or they want a diagnosis, and I think they kind of fit NPD, I'll say, okay, we have to talk seriously. You cannot watch Dr. Ramani. I would literally say, I do not want you to watch Dr. Ramani. And I want you to know that experts in the field do not align with her view of narcissism.
Right.
So I say, you can watch me, you can watch Wendy Berry,
Uh-huh.
you can watch Craig Malkin,
Hmm.
and you can watch Mark Eatonshire, and you can watch Eric Perry.
And you can watch NPD April.
And you can watch NPT April, Early Morning Barking, Spirit Narc, Nameless Narcissist.
Yeah,
Um,
the good people.
I feel like I've missed someone. Cluster B Milkshake. How can I
Yeah,
forget
I
Sarah?
love her. Yes,
Okay, that's who you can watch.
good people. Oh, yeah, that's the good stuff to watch.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, totally agree. Cause like, yeah, it's like such a shock to get that diagnosis, and I think that's nice that you're able to that you do you actually say that to the clients if you give them that diagnosis to like
Yes.
watch Dr. Ron. I love that.
Yeah, I will explicitly say please do not watch Dr. Ramani.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of
Because
wish
that's
on that because
who comes up when you put narcissism into a search
yeah,
engine.
exactly.
And
And that was the thing is like I would type in narcissism and like because I want to understand my diagnosis, I want to understand myself, and then I get links to Dr. Romney talking and saying that we're all monsters, and I get links to like all these other channels, and it's like there's no. I had to really dig to find the people that are actually talking about their experiences and talking about it as a real just mental illness.
mm,
And when I did dig, I mean, it's like just like Ray was saying, like he found somebody like you find people that humanize it and that makes you feel a lot better. But it's just like it's such a shame that those aren't the first results. Those are the people you have to dig for to find, you know?
yeah, you say it. Ray's left loads of messages and they're all really nice.
Oh, yeah, let's hear.
um,
Bring on, bring on
like
the
I so agree.
oh yeah.
You better.
Oh, you.
You're like our super fan now. You are they're the first person April interacted with in a live stream.
That's historical.
Yeah, you will never forget. Ray is like your
You're
number
part
one.
right now, Ray. So you gotta watch my channel.
And
uh,
Kay says, thank you for the live session. Please keep doing what you're doing. We
oh,
will. We
yes,
will.
we
Thank you,
will.
Kay. Tell us
Fighting
what
back,
you like. What would
fighting.
you like us to talk about?
Yeah.
Sorry, April. Did I interrupt you, April? I want to.
I was gonna say we're fighting the good fight to like destigmatize NPD. You know, to be the channels that are doing that. So,
I think so.
I like having people. I like knowing that people are watching us because we're,
You know, they are, and I know that professionals in the field are watching.
That's awesome.
There
Yeah.
is noise. There is noise around what's happening in NPD land
Yeah.
because people and they're liking it. The professionals are saying. I mean, there's the people who have expertise in NPD, like Wendy Berry is the main person I talk to,
Hmm.
and she's really glad to see more content that's hopeful and accurate. But also my colleagues who wouldn't call themselves experts in NPD, but who are really good clinicians, are saying it is so good to see some fresh content about narcissism.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be great for like therapists, like, um, especially like I think like for like like for my channels and like the other like NPD people that just like talk about their lives. I mean, I feel like that is super helpful for therapists too, because then you can kind of like see,
Yeah,
um, yeah, like how people with NPD experience the world and all that, you know, and that helps you
definitely.
with
Uh,
how to do it too.
and you made history.
I love it. It's a historical moment.
Ray suggesting we could talk about addictions or anger management or some with NPD in your family or stalking. I'll tell you
Oh,
how to manage stalking. You phone the police.
thanks.
Phone
Which
the police. It is so dangerous.
stalking, yeah, that's very dangerous. Like you gotta like take that if it gets bad enough, you definitely gotta take that to like a legal level.
Yeah.
Um
Um,
uh let's see, addictions or anger management. Which one do you want to talk about? I'm good with either.
let's go with the big guns.
No, these are both good. We can talk about addictions and anger management.
You know what I like? I have an angry side. Like, oh my God. I call her my inner teenage rebel. And
Yeah.
when she gets angry, she gets so, like, I want to swear. I want to say so effing salty. And she's crazy. And the problem is I find her really funny.
Yeah.
I can find that side of me very
Interesting.
entertaining because she's very smart arse,
Mhm.
um, but she gets me into trouble.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't particularly care about getting into trouble because what the hell? They deserved it.
Yeah.
And I've kind of learned it's interesting. I had like a long time ago, I had like a therapy session where I was like, I'm not letting this part of me go. I like this part of me.
You like your anger, you said?
And yeah, and the therapist was like, "Well, but doesn't she get you into trouble?" And I'm like, "Good trouble. She gets me into good trouble. I don't
Yeah.
wanna be someone who never gets into trouble. I don't want." Now you can probably guess my schemas. I don't wanna be compliant.
You
And
wanna
I've
be,
kind
like,
of learned
rebellious
this is
and
like this is a part of me that probably needs to be honored,
Uh-huh.
but may need to be in the passenger seat rather than the driving seat. That's the way
Yeah.
I look, like,
I
passenger
think
seat.
I mean, I think it is to some extent, healthy to have, like, a little bit of, like, a rebellious side to you because, you need to be able to, like, know what you're not gonna put up with people, you know? Like, if
Yeah,
someone's if someone's, like, very eh okay, and, like, with, like, relationships too, like, if somebody's very controlling, um, you know, like, growing up, like, my I always, like, had that issue with, like, my parents being kinda controlling, like, and I think, like, being a little bit rebellious, like, helped me be independent and be my own person, in
mhm.
that way, so I think, like I don't think rebelliousness is always a bad thing, um, but there's anger that's
Same.
unhealthy, but that's, I think, healthy.
For me, my rebellious part is about autonomy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
about
me too.
I'll think for myself. It's like I won't be compliant. It's like, no, I think for myself and I will push my I'll push the boundaries because they should be pushed.
Yep. Yeah, because people can't, like, tell me what to do. Like, um,
Yeah.
yeah, like, I remember, like, for me, like, one thing was my parents were very, like they wanted me to, like, kinda, like, dress a certain way. They would buy me clothes that were, like, kinda, like, preppy clothes, and, like, that's not how I wanted to be. I was always, like, like, the music person, and I wanted to wear band shirts all the time, and so, I was like, "Okay, you can buy me all these shirts, but I'm probably just gonna never wear them," you know? Like, you gotta just, like, be yourself and just, like, don't, and just, like, assert your, like, individuality, and I think that's where the rebelliousness helps.
Yeah. We have some other people and
Mhm.
PD questions. I'm so glad you showed up. I love PD. That is like the best name ever because PD questions asks the best questions in the comment section. It's like it leaves really long comments. It takes ages to read them, but they're really thought provoking. I love your comments. I'm going to scroll down a little bit
Feeding
because
questions.
there are some questions.
Okay.
Um, where are we both? I'm based in the UK. I'm near London,
From New York in the US.
and I'm jealous because I used to live in New York, and I love New York.
Yep, I'm very close to the city. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say where, but I live close to the city, which is awesome because I get to visit there a lot.
yeah. Ray suggested some other topics, but I'll go to other people's questions, and then we can decide what to talk about. PD
Okay.
questions. Do the different parts of you, like the angry part, have independent intelligence or semi-autonomy? I don't know if I put it like that. I think like we all have different modes, right? Like
Mhm.
I think that's a helpful concept. Like I can be in an angry mode, or I can be in a more professional mode, or I can be in a more fun mode, or I could be in a more,
Mhm.
you know, not so healthy mode, like a shutdown mode or a whatever. Um,
Right.
but they're kind of, for me, they're quite integrated. And
Uh-huh.
but yes, I can certainly have like
Do you think
I don't
do
know.
you think like you have different types of anger? Is that what you mean?
Oh, everyone
'Cause
has different types of anger.
yeah.
There's like the real rage. If someone has really wronged me, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can think this has probably happened in my entire life, and I mean really, really wronged.
Mm-hmm.
Probably happened once in my entire life.
Yeah.
Um, I've had rage, and that is
Yeah.
different from ordinary anger at people who've been annoying people, which we all are
Yeah, because
sometimes.
there's like the right. Yeah, no, I agree with that because there's like the everyday annoyance. It's like, oh, this person's like kind of just just irritating me a little bit. Um,
Mm,
and then there's like somebody has, especially if someone has said something that's triggered me, then I'm like super mad, like rage at them, you know? Um, like for me, like one thing is like uh one of the big things that'll like get me like raged is like um I think I have that because I have that like avoidant attachment style, like when I'm like wanting my space and wanting like my time to myself, if somebody's like intruding on my space, that always like gets me in like a real mad kind of, that's when I really get mad, you know. Not if they come at me like calmly, like if they're like asking like, are you okay, do you need something, that's fine. But like if somebody's like, please talk to me, like you know, that's been one of my like struggles with
yeah,
rage.
yeah. So, I don't know if that answers your question, PD questions, but
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think yeah, I think as you get healthier, these parts become more integrated, and there's more
Uh-huh.
flexibility, and you're more able to maybe see like a the duality, like you could appreciate that the person who's maybe annoying you when you're in a kind of avoidant mode, maybe feeling a bit anxious themselves. And whilst they're annoying, they may also be in need of some attention. You see what
I
I mean?
think
Like,
that's, yeah, that's the trouble is that I have personally is like if I'm like if I'm being avoidant, I think it's also happening at the same time as I'm like having like black and white thinking. I'm like splitting, so I'm not able to. I think I'm less empathetic. Like my empathy is even lower when I'm splitting. You know, I'm not gonna like. That's what I'm trying to do. Is like I'm trying to learn how to like actually get outside of that black and white thinking because it feels like it just
mm,
takes over me, and that's what
mm.
I'm really working on a lot lately. Is like in one of my videos, I mentioned that like I make a list of people's like positive and negative qualities, and like I look at that list a lot of times if I'm splitting because that helps me get outside of it.
That's a good way to deal with black and white thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question from Kay. Dr. Ruth, what is the cheapest way of treating constant defensive reactions and behavior in myself? I can't afford an NPD therapist and not diagnosed. I want to learn better behaviors, less impulsiveness. I'm doing therapy with an integrative counselor already, and they're really helpful, but my defensive nature and lack of emotion at times for others is not changing. And I'm wondering if I could maybe do a workbook or behavior course that's cheaper. I already have an integrative counselor and don't want to change therapist. Um, so you know what? First of all, like you have a good relationship with the counselor. It sounds like you like them, and that's good, right? So that's good.
Yeah, that's
And
rare
I think,
too.
yeah, I think the relationship is probably the most important thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about workbooks. I don't know of anything specifically for people with NPD or narcissistic traits. Um,
Yeah.
but what I'd suggest maybe, Kay, is if you know, watch my stuff, watch Wendy Berry stuff, watch the stuff like April puts out, Nameless Narcissist, Cluster B Milkshake, Rich, Spirit Narc, um, and see if you can use that to understand yourself a little bit better and maybe bring up with your counselor that you have defensive reactions and that you have a lack of emotion at times and address them really actively in therapy. So, really, you do a little bit of work yourself and really ask the integrative counselor if they would be willing to look at those things. Um,
Yeah, and I think talking about that with a therapist is super helpful because they can keep like checking in with you on it too, like on your progress on like working
mm,
through it, which is super helpful
yeah,
because I know for me, like if I don't have like someone I'm talking to about a problem I'm working on, um, then it kind of like there's no like accountability. Like I can work on it if I want to, but I don't have to. There's no one checking in. It's like,
yeah.
like I think it does help to have someone that you're working on it with for sure.
So, okay, when I've worked with people who like say I'm a defensive bitch, um, I actually say, well, we call it defensive bitch mode, and I have all kinds of fun with people where I'll say, let's put the defensive bitch in the chair. Let's, you
Hmm.
know, and maybe let's let the defensive bitch speak for a bit. I'll say,
Oh, I
and go
like
in
that.
bitch mode. I want to get to know bitch mode. Like, I want you to let rip and really explore that mode. So it might be interesting to see if your therapist was willing to really get to know the defensive bitch because she may have some
That would
important
be
things to say.
interesting because yeah, I mean, I think our like tendency as like I know with me anyways with NPD, like my tendency is like I never want to let people see that side of myself, so I'm always trying to hide it.
Mm,
So I think if the therapist like can let you just let loose on that, like maybe you'll discover something about yourself too, like that you've been hiding,
mm. Have
She'll
you
probably
ever
discover
done
something
chair
about
work?
you and you will, yeah.
Have you ever done chair work in your therapy?
Me? I
Yeah.
never have. No, I like that. I
Mm.
like the sound of that though. That could be interesting. I'd be
It's
interested in
great.
that.
I like it because you
Yeah.
kind of I mean, I'm not saying walk into therapy in defensive bitch mode and have a go at your therapist. That doesn't tend to end well. Um,
I'm sure that can't go very well, yeah.
but where it gets a little safer when you're like, well, that is a mode, and we'll put that mode in the chair. And when you're in this chair, be the defensive bitch.
I like that. So
Adapt our
you would ask,
posture.
so that'd be like something you could like ask your therapist, like if you could like practice that mode with them. Is that kind of
Yeah.
how you go
Ask them
about it?
to
I
read up
like
a
that.
little bit on chair work and see if they're
Mm.
up for it.
I might try that with my next therapist because that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. I have a feeling you might well try that with your next therapist.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
that's like stuff that you keep inside of yourself so much. And I, you know, uh, a lot of times like I'll bottle that stuff up until eventually like I blow up. And so maybe getting it out in the chair is a good way to like diffuse that before it gets to be like this huge rage thing.
well, it's also like allowing that yourself to understand that part of you
Hmm.
and why
See what
that part of you's there and what that part of
uh
you is trying to do. And then you can also start to think what role do you want that part of you to have? And I love
okay.
internal family systems theory, which is kind of this new approach, um,
Uh-huh.
which I think is mainly a new approach to sell another model of therapy and make money. I'm a little skeptical, but they have a lovely saying called "no bad parts."
Hmm.
It's like there are no bad parts. The bitch of you is not a bad part.
Right.
It's a part of you.
That makes sense.
Welcome that part of you. Let's get to know that part of you. It's not a
That
bad
makes
part.
sense, and it's
May
just a
not
part of you.
all may not always be the part of you you want behind the steering wheel,
Mhm.
but she's probably served you well on occasions. Like when I think of my angry mode stopped me from being compliant when I didn't want to be compliant and gave me a lot of freedom.
Right, like we were talking about before about, like, being independent and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And, like, anger, like, can even be, a motivator sometimes. Like, so when I was originally like, I started out at playing drums, and, like, I remember, like, I was gonna be in this band when I was in high school, and they kicked me out of the band, and they told me that, like, I wasn't a good drummer, so, like, they couldn't have me stay with them. And honestly, like, the thing that motivated me to, like, get better at drums and then just, like, um, I wanna, like I wanted to blow them away, and I wanted to show them that they were, like, wrong to kick me out. So, like, I made a new band, and I was, like, practicing drums, like, more than ever. And I feel like my motivation there kind of was anger, but, like, it was positive anger, you
mm,
know?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ray wants to know.
Oh my god, that was a blast. Yeah. Yeah, I met up with them, like we met up in the park, and they're filming something right now. I don't know how much they want me to say about like what they're filming, but they're doing like a film where they're having therapists talk to them and talk to other people with NPD. So we did like a little bit of like interviewing with the film crew in the beginning, and so that was just us like talking about our experiences, and then we were just like having fun together, like walking around the park, and it was great because you know I've been talking to them like online for a long while. Like me and Tess especially have gotten like really close online, and then like to actually like meet her in real life was like the coolest thing ever, So
Yeah.
I loved it.
So lovely. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to answer this one. Why did my therapist feel kind of threatened when I told her I was watching Dr. Santa? And she told me to be very
That
careful.
was my first person I was watching.
I would guess that your therapist does not agree with Sam Vaknin
Yeah.
and may think some of Sam Vaknin's content is questionable. And I would share those concerns. I think
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sam Vaknin's books about narcissism and narcissists and narcissistic abuse um, have actually created the monster that is the current internet obsession with narcissism.
That makes sense, yeah.
And
He
I
was
think
early
there's
to
a lot
that.
of his content that's very questionable.
And he's also not, like a licensed therapist or anything like that. Like, he
No,
doesn't have any educational background in that. So,
no.
he's just, like,
So
spouting theories out there, you know?
I said to my people, please watch Wendy Berry, me, Craig Malkin,
Yeah,
Keith Campbell. I like some of Keith Campbell's stuff. That's who's good to watch from on the professional point of view.
right, as
And
other
and
therapists.
people talking about their own experiences and how that resonates for you is really valuable too.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, but from the more professional angle, you know who I approve of.
And it ain't Sam Backman.
No,
Well, yeah.
no. Craig Malcolm,
He
Craig Malcolm on Twitter called him a fraud,
Yeah,
and
I see
then
him as a fraud too.
This is Twitter gossip. I then tweeted Craig Malkin, and Sam Vaknin tweeted me saying he would give Craig Malkin an F in his psychology
He
class.
talked. He responded to you.
I did not respond. And I just was like, Craig Malkin's a professor at Harvard. I think I know whose grading I would trust.
You like questioned his like. Yeah, you like questioned his whole like grandiosity too, because I think like his like I think Sam Vaknin's big thing is like he sees himself as this like well-educated intellectual person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an image that he presents to the world.
Right. It's not the reality, like, but that's the image that he's going for. So like if I think if like that part of him gets attacked, that's like gonna be
Yeah.
that'll make him respond.
Yeah. And look, this is why I love PD questions, because
Okay.
this is it.
These are questions. There's some big questions. Yeah.
This is more commentary. PD commentary.
I don't
I
have
don't have dissociated alters, but I noticed my narrator watcher, oh my God, that is such a good name, has a different way of thinking compared to my wily mode or my arrogant mode. And each mode has its own way of thinking. So it's almost like
Oh,
separate intelligence with an executive narrator watcher. It's not dissociated separate personalities, but more like separate modes. Well,
I can kind
thank
of
you
relate to
for
this.
summing up schema mode, the schema mode model
Really?
in your comments. Yeah, that's exactly how I would talk about it. Like you have sometimes I'll talk to people about building a narrator voice so you can narrate the internal experience for yourself. Like, okay, I'm noticing my angry mode coming up, which is making me think in black and
Uh-huh.
white ways. So be careful not to respond too strongly. Or for me, it's like,
That one
okay,
you're aware of.
I'm noticing that teenage rebel, and she's going to say something spicy, which is very funny. Do you really want her to? Is
Is this the
this
right time
is
for the
this the right
spiciness?
time, the right place, and are the consequences worth it to you? And normally I say, yes, yes, they are.
Yes, they are. It'll be funny. It'll be great. Let's do it. See, like I feel like when I'm like really see the way I relate to this is too is like when I'm really sad or when I'm really happy, like I totally like colors my view of the world and of myself. Like I when I'm like really doing good and I'm getting like a lot of compliments and stuff, especially, um, then I just think that like, wow, I'm just great. Like I'm healed. I don't have NPD anymore. I'm good now. Uh, I'm like totally neurotypical at this point because I've done so well. And then something bad happens or something criticizes me and I'm like, wow, I'm really a mess. I'm such a mess. I'm like really a messed up person and I'm really depressed. So it's like my whole perception of myself, also just like of my life in general, totally changes. I don't know. So it feels like different modes.
Yeah, I think it is different modes. It is. Gotta
Yeah.
get yourself some schema therapy.
Yeah, I have to connect the modes together.
Yeah. So, ooh, I can comment on
I know
this.
it.
I
Yeah.
think Case speaking about a therapist, whenever I do, he tries to
Mhm.
persuade me I'm being critical of myself and says he doesn't see that and tells me positive stuff about myself. Loads of therapists do this, and I can see why. But I think a really important part of therapy is to make a little bit of space for the parts of us that are more tricky. And I'm wondering, Kate, if you could put it to your therapist. And this isn't a, you know, look, this is YouTube. I'm not going to give individual advice on YouTube. So this is what I say to anyone, um,
Mhm.
or to a therapist I was supervising. I would say, you know, let's look at this. That this isn't being self-critical. This isn't about beating yourself up. This is about making space for the parts of you that are more tricky, and that you really want to explore the parts of you that are more tricky and that may be difficult for people around you sometimes.
So similar to like kind of like what you're saying about the chair situation, like just like analyzing that and like just looking at it and not like necessarily trying to stop it, kind of
Yeah. I
makes
think
sense.
sometimes when people think about self-compassion, they think about, well, let's be constantly kind and constantly loving and constantly positive about ourselves. And I don't think that's helpful. I think when you're really
Yeah.
being self-compassionate, you can also extend that to seeing the suffering that's caused by those more difficult parts, like the raging
I,
part, the bitchy part, the narcissistic
I
part.
yeah, I like totally strongly like agree with that because one therapist I had like gave me this advice that like has stuck with me too, which is like when I've been sad, like I think like people like tend to like want to just be happy all the time and not really like experience any of the like quote unquote negative emotions. Um, but like my therapist like told me that like every like to think about my emotions like waves that are like coming and going. So like you'll have like a
Mhm,
wave of happiness and then it'll crash and then you'll be sad and then there's like a wave of sadness and then that will eventually like crash too though. And you have another emotion and like it's just like rather than trying to like fight against the waves, like you gotta just like kind of like ride with them
mhm,
rather than trying to go against the current, like just like let them happen because it's gonna happen. Like you're not always gonna be
mhm,
happy every day. You're not always gonna feel
mhm.
perfect. That's always
Yeah,
like really stuck with me and helped me.
it's really vital way to manage emotions, like, not to it's like there's a beautiful Rumi poem, I don't know if you've seen it, The Guest House, like,
No, I
"Welcome
haven't.
all your mo" I should post it, it's like this it's like being something like being human is a guest house, and every morning you have a new
Uh-huh.
arrival, and sometimes it's joy, sometimes it's depression,
Yeah.
sometimes it's meanness, and he's like, "Welcome and entertain them all." It's like, welcome it
Yeah.
all. And I think that's a really good approach to emotions, and it's also a really good approach to take to your modes, like, welcome
Okay.
and entertain them all.
It's
Don't
just
necessarily
who
put
you
them
are
all
in
at the
that moment. Yeah.
reception desk of your guest house,
Right, right.
but be willing to get to know those parts of you.
Uh-huh. Right. Right. And then and that is more compassionate because then you're being kind to
Mm,
all parts of you, whether it's
yeah,
positive or negative emotions. You're just like accepting all parts of you. So
yeah.
I like
And
I like
sometimes
that.
some parts need more space, and they need to be encouraged to take up more room and be
Uh-huh.
more active, and some parts may need
Yeah.
some healthy boundaries and limits.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like it's making boundaries with yourself, kind of.
Yeah. My
Hmm.
adolescent rebel needs a few limits on occasion. Now and
Mine
again.
too.
Not too many, not too many. So,
Somebody is upset at me, and
encasing
I'm like, I gotta get back at them. Oh
encasing, thank you,
yes,
you're
thank you so much,
welcome.
Kay. That's very
I hope it's
sweet.
helpful.
Glad we could help. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope it does. Hmm.
Um, Ray, you're
There's another
going for the big
topic.
topics.
Let's hear it. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, another topic might be how to manage a marriage or a relationship. I'm heading into my fourth marriage. I realize it's me that has to change. This might be a good topic too. It's a
It's a good
big
topic.
topic.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not the pro in this because I've had a lot of short-lived relationships. But but I'll let you start, Dr. Ruth. I can put my 2 cents in a minute, but yeah, this is
My
not my area
relationship,
of expertise.
my relationship history is not perfect. I think this is the thing, and no one's is, and that's okay, right? But
That's
I
true,
think,
yeah.
if you bring that self-awareness that you have, and you be really intentional about doing things differently. And for most people with MPD, the thing they need to do differently in relationships is they need to let the other person in. Like,
Mhm.
they need to allow themselves to soften a bit to the other person and let them give to them. Like, really give. I don't mean, like, buy an expensive gift or worship the ground you walk on. I mean, be there for you in the small things, that intimate kind of closeness.
Like,
Like,
what do you mean by that, actually? Can you, like,
I
elaborate on that?
mean, like, when you come home from a day at work
Uh-huh.
and you say, "That was a tough day. I just really need a hug."
Yeah.
That's hard for someone with MPD.
To say that, to,
Mhm.
like, say that you need a hug, that
Mm.
yes, absolutely, that is.
That is harder than coming home
So
and
you're
saying,
saying
"I
that
ruled the
what we need to
office
do
today."
is we need to, like Yeah, 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 yeah. We need to be able to we need to be able to be soft and have those, like, moments, and, like, I know one thing for me is, like, asking for what I need is something that I've had to, like, work on a lot. Um, I think I've gotten a little better at that, just, like, letting people know that, like, I'm feeling really down today, I could use some, like, or, like, I'm worried, can I have, like, some reassurance or something, you know?
Mm. And I think that's harder than either saying, "I was amazing," or "Everyone else I work with is an idiot."
Yes, it's easy to, and I've done that before a lot. Like, I get in trouble at work, and then, like, I want to just, like, tell my partner how bad my boss is for getting me in trouble and blame it on them
Yeah.
rather than, like, be like, hey, I made a mistake at work today. Can I have just, like, a hug? Like, um, and I have had moments where I've done that, and it has made me feel better. So that is, like, definitely what you want to strive for, is,
Yeah.
like, just being genuine like that.
It's building that capacity to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's a skill. I think that, like, it takes practice,
Mm.
but
Mhm. Another comment from Ray.
yeah,
My therapist told me to stall and wait before blowing up. Also, Rich from Early Morning Barking said that. Good, it's good advice. Most of the rage is
yeah,
gone, most of it. Do you know what, Ray? Get really curious about the rage and what's underneath it.
right, right. That makes sense. Yeah, what causes it?
Mm,
One thing, like, I
mm,
do is, as far as, like, stalling goes too, is when I am upset with someone, like, a lot of times what'll help me is to just, like, write it out in a journal. Um, just, like, write out what I'm feeling before I, like, go to the person. Because then I'm able to, like, get the feelings out of me, and then if I really need to, like, confront someone on something they did, at least I've, like,
mm.
released some of the anger through the journaling first before I talk to them, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's really helpful to explore your feelings in that way because it probably also helps you articulate them. Like, it
Yeah,
allows you to
like
be a good advocate for yourself rather than just letting your rage.
just a flurry of, like, yeah, emotions just coming out. Yeah, it definitely helps.
So,
Here's another comment here. Each mode in us has the prestige of being a real human mode in the theater and saga of human experience. It's not a that's not a false prestige, but a real transcendent prestige.
He's talking about those modes. Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah,
each of the modes they need they need a
they're
stage, they
all
need a
you.
place.
They're all
Mm,
you. They're all just different parts of you. And we can be like, especially with personality disorders, we can be really like
mm,
fragmented and like see ourselves as like separate modes, but like they're all part of you. They're not like you shouldn't like I guess like
mm.
something we've been talking about a lot is don't reject them. Like
Yeah,
just accept that they're all part of you, you know?
yeah. And Ray is asking, who is Craig? Never heard. Craig Malkin, who wrote the book. I'm looking around because I might have the book on my desk, but I don't think I do. Must be on my shelf. It's a book called Rethinking Narcissism that he wrote. And he's a
Is
professor of psychology at Harvard.
he makes videos too?
And he does make videos too, but he mostly makes videos for family, friends, partners of people with NPD.
Okay.
So he's not doing it from a kind of stigmatizing perspective, but it may be harder to listen to if because you're listening to someone talk about the effects that someone with NPD might have on their partner or family.
Yeah.
And he's a nice guy. He's really nice. He actually messaged me saying, put a comment in my community section saying we should do something together, and I think we should because I think Craig and I have a lot of thinking in common, and I love
That's
his book.
cool.
It's one of the best.
Yeah.
And he was also the person who coined the term echoism.
What's echoism?
Echoism. How can you not know about echoism? So the original story in the Greek myth.
You
You
insulted
love
me.
this. Um,
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
so Narcissus had a lover
Yeah.
whose name was Echo.
Okay.
And Echo she was a nymph, a garden nymph, if I remember the story.
Uh-huh.
And she and her friends liked to play with Zeus. And Zeus, who's like the patriarch, comes to Earth. He's
Uh-huh.
having a great time, and his wife Hera comes to see what he's up to. And Echo sees Hera coming and distracts her, so Zeus doesn't get caught having his way with the nymphs. And Hera
Okay.
is so enraged, she curses Echo, taking away her voice. But all she can do is repeat the last words that someone else has said. Hence, her name is Echo.
Huh.
And she falls in love with Narcissus. And all she can do is repeat back to Narcissus what Narcissus says.
Hmm.
And of course, Narcissus rejects her. She flees away, hides in a cave. And that's where you hear her today. When you're in a
Huh.
cave and you hear the echo coming back.
Is that supposed to be about like the way that like I know that people that are with narcissists sometimes feel like they have to do that, like kind of like echo back what we think and say that way, like we don't
Yeah, I
dislike
think it
them. Is that kind of what it's about?
describes the kind of losing your voice and
Yeah.
losing your own sense of your own personhood and your own autonomy, and maybe not wanting to take center stage, fearing to take center stage, wanting other people to be the center of attention, not really ever wanting it on you. Um, and I think I quite like this
Like
story
kind of
because
like the thing of like because like the person with NPD, I'm not saying that I'm saying that especially this is with people that aren't very like self-aware or whatever, like they want all the attention on them. So like if you're with somebody that with NPD like that, you're gonna feel like you can't really shine in any ways.
mm,
So like you gotta just let them have all the
but that
spotlight.
may be what Echo wants,
What do you mean?
to let the other person shine.
Yeah.
I like
Echo is letting narcissist shine kind of.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the one thing I like about that story is Echo and Narcissus are both cursed, but they're cursed separately.
In different ways.
So they're cursed in different ways, they're cursed separately, and they come together. And I think I like that because it's not so blaming, kind of acknowledges that there's vulnerabilities and in the relationship between the two of them that I think is really important to acknowledge.
Right. That there's both people are suffering
Mm,
in their own way.
yeah.
And that's what more people need to be aware of. I think a lot of people think
Mm,
I think a lot of people think narcissists are people who they literally see it as the narcissists are confident all the time, which they're not. And they think
mm,
that like narcissists are like these people that are like they have it all together and then they're just doing this abusive stuff on purpose to people just to hurt them. And that just like couldn't be further from the truth, you know?
yeah. In most cases, that's absolutely couldn't be further from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
No. Ray is asking what is schema therapy. So schema with an A at the end. It's probably a typo. It's a type of therapy that was developed by Jeffrey Young, kind of stemmed out of cognitive behavior therapy, but it was more focused on people whose difficulties are lifelong, more about their kind of early relationships and long-standing relationship patterns. I mean, essentially, it was for people with personality disorders or more personality-driven difficulties. Um, and it puts much more focus on childhood experiences and the patterns and ways you see yourself. I will make a video about that.
I like that.
Um, so,
Yeah.
um,
It's definitely an interesting therapy.
yeah. What therapies have you tried, if that's not too personal a question? If it is, just tell me,
Me?
it's none of my business. What therapies have you
I don't
tried?
I don't I don't mind answering that. Uh so the main one that I've done is like the pretty standard like cognitive behavioral therapy. Um like looking at thoughts and like challenging them. When I was seeing that couples therapist with one of my exes, like me and her were like talking to a therapist who specialized in DBT. So I
Mhm.
learned a little bit about it there. Um, and that was definitely interesting. I definitely like would want to explore that one a little bit more. And also art therapy, which actually was pretty helpful. Like I did that because I'm just like really interested in art and like um it helped me in the way that like it helped me to be more able to express my emotions without being like afraid to express them. Because like I was able to just put my emotions into like the paintings and then that helped me talk about them during the session because then it's like
Mm.
it's there in the painting or the drawing I made. So that was an interesting one too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I've never done any art therapy. I've
It's definitely pretty cool.
done a bit of
Um,
DBT, but I didn't like it as much as I like schema therapy.
yeah, I've never had a schema therapist. It's definitely something. That's what my
Mm.
next one's gonna be. I'm on the wait list for that, so that'll be
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Oh, and, you know, and that's I mean, I say, like, I didn't like it as much as, like, schema therapy. That's me personally. I'm not saying it's not as good a therapy. There are different therapies are better for
Yeah,
different people and at
for
different
different people.
stages, and yeah. And
Definitely,
different
definitely.
therapists. Different therapists are better at different
Yeah,
things.
I feel like I've gotten past the point where I feel like I've learned everything I need to learn from cognitive behavioral therapy. So I want to try something that someone that's like doing something different from that because uh I I can pretty much do that on my own now. Like I know I have a list of the different I actually have like an app that has a CBT thing on it.
Mhm.
Um like you type in on the app like what your thoughts are right now. There's a list of the different distortions. You pick which one you're feeling and then you write down like the new thought that doesn't have the distortions in it. Um, So I like that app a lot. That's helped me a lot, and that's like a good way. Actually, that's a really good way to do therapy for yourself while you're not with a therapist. That app is called
Mm.
Mood Kit. So if
Yeah.
anyone wants to try that, that helps me.
It
So
sounds
yeah.
like some really good CBT in that app.
Yeah, totally.
Mm.
Um, it definitely helps me recognize patterns. Like I recognized that catastrophizing is definitely like one of my favorite cognitive distortions to use. So
Yeah.
it helped me recognize that that's a pattern for me. And then when I'm, going about my day and I start thinking like that, I can recognize that it's catastrophizing. I can label it, and that like helps me know that I'm thinking in a distorted way, and that can help me like change it. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So helpful to recognize that's what you're doing,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
when you still think it's a catastrophe.
Yeah.
So,
Just to have a name for it, I think like helps a
mm,
lot.
so yeah. Okay, I come back and let us know how you get on with your therapist, putting it to him like that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'd be curious to know. I'd be curious to follow up on that too. I hope that helps out,
Mm,
you know?
mm. And she says so true, April, but I don't know what she's referring to. Or he. I don't know. Kay, I don't even know if you're male or female. I've assumed you're she, but
That's true.
I could be wrong. I'm so
It's a
sorry if
mystery
I have.
K. Well, they I'm very thankful for them um participating in the chat.
See, I assume because Kay is, like I know quite a few women who go by the name Kay, so that's why I assumed, but I shouldn't assume.
K, Kayla. Um but
Keith, Kevin,
we're gonna
I don't
guess your
know.
name.
Kay, I'm sorry if I've misgendered you.
Keith,
Mm,
Carla, Carly. Um, what else? What else? What else? Well, because she might have been, or they might have been saying that to like when I was talking about catastrophizing or something like that. I
mm.
don't know.
So, Ray, how can I improve my life relationships without therapy? I think I'm gonna pay money and try to go once a month. I don't know. Um, you know what? There's lots you can do on your own, Ray. Like April's just talking about using those apps and doing the stuff you're already doing, like giving yourself that time every day to focus on yourself. Um, but if you were able to go once a month, I mean, that you've already been in therapy for a year. So at this point, once a month would probably be quite a good option if that's possible for you, because it will help
Yeah,
steady
maybe
you.
the best option is maybe go once a month and then try this other stuff during
Yeah,
the rest of the month, you know?
yeah,
Maybe that'd
yeah,
be the best way
absolutely.
to handle it.
Yeah. There you go. I think that one's for you.
It's hard. It can be very expensive.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Emotions are waves. April, remember this too shall pass. Tomorrow will come. Sadness flies away on the wings of time. Yes, I totally agree. Uh, it's just everything kind of comes and goes, whatever you're feeling or whatever you're experiencing too in your life. If like you're dealing with a difficult breakup, it's not gonna last forever. There's gonna be other chapters of your life. Like you go through something hard, break up. That's just like an example, but like you can go through a million different things. But like that's the way I always like look at hardships too. It's like this thing happened to me, and like what can I learn from it, and like how is that going to help me grow and have a better life in the next chapter of my life.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I so need to make a video about this. I'm trying to move past how I treated people in my past. I still hate myself in some ways. Well, I'm really sorry you hate yourself. I think there's, this is where I really think self-compassion comes into its own, because it isn't about, like what Kay was saying, it's not about just saying, "Oh, it's okay, you're a good person, really, you're perfect, you've never done anything terrible." Well, what if you have? Does that mean you're a terrible
Right.
person?
It's about making peace with the mistakes that you've made, because I mean, everybody has hurt someone in their
Mhm.
life, you know. It doesn't even matter if, like, even if you don't have any mental illnesses, people are always hurting people. And it's more about like understanding that it doesn't make you a bad person. You know, um, it's something you can learn from. Maybe it wasn't like the best action to take, but like it's something you can learn from, and it doesn't mean you're bad. It's not a reflection of who you are. You can always like learn from things you've done
Mhm.
wrong and like make better choices in the future.
Yeah,
But you're not a bad person,
yeah,
you know?
and it's like, it's not the whole of you,
Yeah.
it's like, maybe there are some things that have been really hurtful, but it's not all of you, and you get to choose what you do now, you know?
Right. You get to choose like which sides of yourself. Um, you get to choose how you define yourself. You know, like if like you don't have to define yourself by
Mhm.
your mistakes that you made. You know,
Mhm.
you've done a lot of things that have been good for people too. I'm sure. I'm sure you've done a lot of things that have made people feel better and stuff. You know, I don't know where Dr. Ruth just went. um, yeah.
I don't know what happened.
I just saw you disappear. It's like, where
Okay.
go?
I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I'm glad I didn't lose you.
Yeah, yeah. I was just trying to like let them just know that like yeah, like you kind of like choose how you define yourself. Like you don't have to define yourself as a bad person um because of something that happened. Like and also that like you have I'm sure done a lot of great and good and helpful things for people too, because everyone does, you know.
I think that's it, isn't it? It's like you've gotta kinda see the good and the bad, and not not judge either, like, by that I mean, don't I'm not saying some things aren't good and some things aren't bad, but to see that it's not the whole of you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you think like that could be do you think that can be black and white thinking if like you see like that you did something bad and then you think that like you're all bad kind of?
Well, yes. Are you getting an echo?
I'm not hearing an echo.
You're not I am.
Huh.
Okay. Let me see if I can put AirPods in if that helps.
Yeah.
Um, I think you can oh my gosh. It's live, people, it's live. This is what happens.
Is that better? Are you able to hear better?
I
Is there
don't
still an echo?
yeah.
Uh,
My AirPods don't seem to want to connect.
oh, okay.
Um, oh my god. Can you still hear me?
I hear you. Yeah.
Okay, and there's no echo. That's really strange. Okay. I think it is kind of black and white thinking, and it's also there's a real need to not. I'm like, don't judge yourself as bad, and don't
Hmm.
judge yourself as good overall. You're a mix, just like everyone is a mix.
Right. Everyone is.
And the worst things you've done are not the whole story, and they definitely don't have to be the end of the story.
Yeah. I also um like I say this a lot. Maybe some people have seen me say this in my videos, but like one of my like things that I do to like help myself is like zooming out. It's like one of my like things I say to myself is like, okay, like something happened, like let's zoom out of the picture of my life, right? And like in this case, the way I would look at it is like if you zoom out, like maybe you had one day where you treated someone badly, but if you look at like your entire year, how many days did you treat somebody badly out of the whole year? Like
Mm.
that's like a positive spin at it. Like that would help me. It's like to recognize is that like, in the total of your life, have you been more bad than good? You know what I mean? Like most days you're just kind of doing your thing. I don't know.
I think you need to get out of the real self-hatred and self-recrimination, because
Yeah.
that gets you nowhere, and nor does it help you. If there is space in a relationship where you've hurt someone, if there is some space for you to repair that relationship, your self-hatred won't repair it. The way to repair it is to be able to fully own what you did and the ways you hurt someone without
Mm.
also having to conclude, and therefore I'm the worst, most awful person in the entire world.
Being able to like hold both of those things in your
Yeah.
mind at the same time, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. It's like I'm me and I'm imperfect and I have good intentions right now.
Uh-huh.
And I've done some things that have been incredibly
And
painful.
I've recognized that I've done it.
And I fully recognize it and I don't make excuses for it.
That's that's it. Yeah. Okay.
And that is, if I work with couples where there's been an affair, that's what I look for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've
Yeah. Yeah.
done something, I've caused a great pain. I can try to understand it, I can try to explain it, but not excuse it. And I can really see and be sorry for the impact it's had on you. If someone can say that, really say that,
This is
um,
helpful.
they
This is helpful for me. I just like came
I
out.
am
This is
like, when I
helpful
work
for me.
I
Things I've done
often
in the
say it's
past.
like when I meet couples and someone's had an affair and the partner who's had an affair comes in and says that,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "We're good, we're good.
Yeah.
This relationship
I've
can
never
be."
I never cheated on anyone before, but I've hurt somebody, and like my like thing is like I switch between hating myself for what I did and making excuses for it, and like just trying to be like that's not me. Like it's
Mm,
hard for me to it's hard for me to like hold the two things in my head at the same time, though, is that like I did something that hurt someone, but I'm not a bad person. That's what I have to do. That's what Ray
yeah,
might have to do too.
yeah. Without trying to convince the other person that you're not a bad person. You may have to convince you may
Because
have
that
to
is what you want to go
tolerate.
to. Like you want to be like you want to make excuses to them too. Like you want to be like, oh, I just did it because of this.
Yeah. You may have to tolerate that they do not think highly of you right now. And
The person
then
I'm thinking of does not think highly of me.
yeah, yeah. And if the relationship's gonna get repaired, you have to welcome their honest expressions of hurt.
Uh-huh.
And it's hard, it's really hard. You know,
It's
affairs is
hard.
the affairs is the obvious one, and as someone who does couples therapy, it's probably the one that I'm most
You
familiar
probably
with,
see
and
that one
there's
the
a lot of
most. Hmm.
like, they have books written about it. I even have a book on my desk called Getting Past the Affair, 'cause it's such a common
I'll
issue.
just say mine is lying and telling a lot of lies in the
Yeah,
relationship. So it's like, but
yeah,
it's similar to an affair because you're hiding something and you're
yeah.
like, yeah, you're like
It's
trying to like um you're trying to keep it a secret. the fact that you lied. So like that's how that works, you know.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the other things, like same thing, if someone comes in after an affair and they're like, yeah, well, you'll let yourself go. And what was I supposed to do?
The thing about excuses is like you don't make the person feel better. You're only doing that for yourself, you know.
Like this isn't going very
You're
well.
doing that to protect yourself, but you're not gonna make the other person feel better. Like
Yeah.
if you make an excuse, they're just gonna be like, "Why are you doing this?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is quite late, so I might need to think about going to bed soon. But
That's all right. This was like super fun for like especially for like just like on the spot kind of like chat too like this. It's like we got some good questions and stuff.
it was fun. There are a few other comments that I can whiz through.
Okay.
Ray, of course you can change. And I think we've addressed a lot of the questions too that have been asked.
Yeah. I know you. I believe you can change too, right? You know, we're all working on it, and we're all trying. I sometimes talk to my child self, April. I would hug myself in my mind and think it might have helped me, but sure didn't hurt me.
That's so lovely.
That is beautiful. Yeah,
Mm.
like showing love to that part of you, that younger you that was hurt. I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'll just take this question. So schema therapy is not about talking to an empty chair, but that is a technique that's used in lots of therapies, and schema therapists use it a lot. It fits really well with our model.
Talking to an empty chair. What is
Yeah.
that?
Well, you can do all kinds of things. I should.
Why would you talk to an
I have a
empty
colleague
chair?
who does loads of chair work. I wonder if I could convince him to come on this chair because it's such a fun approach. You can do lots of things. One is you can be in the chair and you can be like, okay, when I'm in this chair, I'm going to be my defensive mode,
Oh,
or
okay. When you're talking about the modes, yeah.
my little child mode, or
Right.
my
Yeah.
healthy grown-up mode, my narrator
Right.
mode,
To practice
my
on.
angry mode, my wily mode, my manipulative mode, my lying mode. And
Mm-hmm.
then what you can also do is you can be like, okay, let's shift to a different chair.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, let your healthy grown-up mode talk to the lying mode,
Ooh, that's interesting.
right? Or you can let your vulnerable child mode talk to the lying mode.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You can,
As a way to like
yeah,
have a conversation with it and like see like why that part of like why do you feel the need to lie and like what's a better way that like we can handle it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can have different chairs. You can do it in so many ways. You can have different chairs represent different positions. And like, if you've got a dilemma,
Uh-huh.
like, should I stay or should I leave my relationship? Well, you can put the part of you that wants to stay in the relationship in one chair and really explore that, and then put the part of you that wants to leave the relationship in another chair and really explore that, and then go in a third chair where you weigh it up.
Almost weighing out the pros and cons kind of thing.
So it can be a really active way of allowing yourself to fully explore all options.
Yes, because when you're in that, like when you're wanting to, like when you're thinking about breaking up with someone, not necessarily gonna do it. Like there's it does sometimes feel like there's two versions of you. Like there's like one that's like justifying to yourself like why you want to be in the relationship, and sometimes that one's right. You know, like sometimes that one's like telling you like maybe you're being irrational for wanting to break up, or like sometimes the other one is right, is like this is a bad relationship, I need to get out of it. So I could see how that would be helpful because you can like explore which side of you is the one that's thinking more clearly, I guess, and which is the right way to go for you.
Yeah. So also, Ray,
Uh-huh.
Speaking of the devil, speaking of early morning barking, he did reply to my text, and he says, "Ray's one of the good ones. Smiley face. Thank you for sharing." There you go.
Ray is awesome. I like Ray.
Yeah. Ray, you're cool.
You're cool, Ray. I love all your questions and loved chatting with you on this.
Yeah. And PD questions.
Yeah.
I feel like I need like an hour to explore each comment.
Oh,
I
I know.
think
We
there's
could go
room
on and
for
on with these.
I think there's room for certain faith. We can sort of methodize the place of not judging or hating ourselves. We should also have faith that true understanding will take care of that. So if we can glimpse the promise of understanding, we should have faith in it and just strive to walk the path of always improved understanding, a kind of magic that methods cannot match. I think
Yeah,
I
I
know
think
what
it's
you're
important.
saying. Yeah.
Have faith in like yourself, kind of like that you are going to overcome things. Is that what you think?
Yeah. I think it's also like accepting that you may never fully understand, but you can always gain more understanding and have some faith that understanding is possible and that you are understandable.
Yeah.
I think that's I don't know, maybe that's not what you were saying. That's what I read into it.
And maybe that like healing is possible.
Mm,
Like, not even if like you may not even like be 100% healed, but like just to be able to be healed enough where you can have healthy relationships and have like
yeah,
stable jobs or whatever your struggle is in life, that you're going to be able to get through it.
yeah. So, anyway, it is so late here, so I am gonna say good night. But thank you for coming, especially Ray, and
You,
PD questions and Kay.
Kay and everyone else.
And there have been a few others, like there's 7 at the moment watching. There was 8 at one point. So
Yeah. And
thank
thank you
you.
for making, you guys are part of my first live stream, so you're all part of history here, so it's cool.
Yeah, and you're welcome. And I
Yeah.
think I haven't gone live in a while. I need to do it more. This has been
Yeah,
fun.
it was a lot of
So
fun. So,
thank you.
glad we did it. Yeah.
Okay.
Fun.
Bye.
Right, bye.